Join me for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You've received the minutes from the previous meeting. What are your wishes?
Approved.
Right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Jeff,
First on the list is the approval of the collective bargaining agreement between Grundy County Secondary Road Department and the Public Professional and Maintenance Employees Local for July of 25 through end of June 26. But I believe it is a 2-year contract with only the wages still being open. So next year we will go into negotiations again, but it will only be for wages. And I emailed those to you last week for your guys' review.
should have received a copy.
Motion to approve.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
We took, March 7th was when, quotes were due for dust control. We received 2 bids. One's from Benz and Stevens for $644.80. And Envirotech Services was $687.96. Last year, Envirotech was the only bidder. 23 and 22. You can see 23 was Jericho Services at $568, and then previous year was $452. But just for your information of past history on that.
Gone up quite a bit in the last couple of years.
Yep.
Have we had any experience with this other company?
Benz and Stevens, I have. They are out of Oskaloosa. They were their big contributor down south.
I think they had the bid here 1 year too, not too long ago.
I believe they have been up here, but I think they told me it's been a few years since they've been up in Grundy, but
Okay.
they do both provide calcium chloride. Just Central Iowa Dust Control does have a tree step, so if you're interested in that, and then Heffron Services provides the magnesium chloride. But they're all 4 are operating in Grundy County, but whenever the county needs to purchase dust control, Benz and Stevens is our lowest bidder.
Move approval.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? When are applications? When do they have to?
Shoot, it's on our Facebook page.
It's middle of April. maybe?
I want to say it's coming up.
Okay,
Yeah, there is
there's a deadline.
Jesse did put a post out there for us on that, and there is a deadline, and we are not accepting applications after the fact. Next on the list is the approve the contract for our annual rock haul. It was to Burning Rock Products for $111,987.32. You guys awarded it. We now got the signatures, so now we have to approve the contract.
Would anyone care to make that motion?
I will.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Next is the approval of the contract for our overlay on Hawk and 290th. This is part of the bonding agreement. Saying we've authorized the approval of the contract. Now we just need to sign it. It is for $1,369,476.72.
Would anyone care to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any
Do you
of,
know anything about timeline on that yet, or?
The Aspro is wanting to do the Hawk starting here in April.
Okay.
So yeah, they're looking to come in at the end of April, I think the week of the 21st.
Okay. So when is the bridge on 14 going?
Actually, I just talked to the RCE today. They have a late start date of May 5th, I believe it was.
Okay, so we'll have new blacktop to be smashed down by then.
Yes. It might kind of coincide, I don't know, probably, yes, it'll be. The detour is through Conrad over to the beam at Blacktop and then up to 175.
Okay, so,
So hopefully people are not running on Hawk and
right,
290th,
cutting around, yeah.
but if they do, they'll have nice new pavement.
There's too many stop signs going north out of Conrad anyway, they don't wanna go that way.
Yes,
You should probably talk to Jesse, there's no date on, timeline on it.
it should be, no, that's the job applications. That one right there.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, dust control.
Oh,
The job applications are due on Friday, April 4th.
well, it doesn't say that either.
Or, oh, that was for the part-time.
Yeah, part-time.
Part-time, that was helping until filled.
Yeah.
Yep. And Nick is in charge of that one, but I know we do, talked to him the other day, we do have a few summer help kids interested.
Good.
For both of our departments, so good there. The guys are out spot rocking. We did get our brand new pups that you guys purchased in Thursday, Friday. Those came in. So we're working on that.
I did get a call from one of your drivers with the new pups and they says it makes all the difference in the world. I couldn't believe how nice they pulled and how good they worked.
Good. They are nice and shiny, all aluminum. I'm glad they pull really well. So we do have 6 pups out running instead of just our standard 4. So they're spot rocking, desk control, they're putting down regular road rock, our 100 towards our local hall. So good going there.
Any other questions for Jeff this morning? Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Travis.
It's a resolution today to, for the staffing in the office, this just updates after. You all let me have that overlap with the new person for the 4 weeks, which I really appreciated. We got a pretty good base down, like training started and, with the recording, there's so many if this, then this sort of situations that, you know, we still have a little ways to go, but, feeling pretty good about where we're sitting, but this is just to, confirm the staff appointments in the office.
Okay. Would anyone care to introduce resolution number 41, 2024, 2025?
Move to introduce.
Right, is there a second?
Second,
Right, Alan, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Vic,
Yes.
Jeff,
yes.
LJ,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
and Heidi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else new going on in the world of the recorder?
Just business as usual, I guess, at this point. It is boat renewal year, so we got a lot of those coming in. Still trickling in. Nobody really thinks about it until it starts getting actually warm, but you'd be surprised at the amount of people that have been coming in doing it because of the emails we've been sending, so. Otherwise, not much else to report.
Anything new down in Des Moines going on for you guys?
Yeah, I've talked to you all before about our fee initiative and, we've kind of had to shift gears on that to more of a defense than an offense. We have a couple counties that, are pushing to. So we all participate in Iowa land records under an intergovernmental 28E, which we are required to do by law. And there is a county or two that want to pull out of that. And the reason it was set up that way, in the first place is because that's the way the legislature and the stakeholders like the Iowa Bar Association Iowa Bankers Association. They wanted it set up that way. They wanted everybody to participate. So we all sent our records to the central depository. The electronic submission is all done through a central location. There's a couple, I'll just say newly elected recorders, haven't been in office all that long, that have different ideas and are more concerned about their own counties. Part of the issue is 75% of the counties in Iowa have a population of less than 25,000. And, you know, we all rely on the cost sharing that Iowa Land Records and being a part of that 2080 in order to provide electronic recording. So it's really important to us that we maintain that, share that cost. If some of the bigger counties start pulling out of that 2080, that's going to put a bigger burden on the bigger counties that remain, because they do pick up some of that slack. For example, you know, Polk County, the recorder in Polk County right now is very supportive of the project, and you know, absolutely understands that it takes all of us to make this work. But if some of these other larger counties start pulling out of it, and, you know, even she says, I'm not gonna be the Polk County recorder forever, you know, so the next person could have other ideas. But even if that wasn't the case, it starts putting a bigger burden on those large counties that remain in the system to help subsidize us small counties. You know, there are counties that can afford to forge their own path using their own vendor for electronic recording. You know, I'm sure we could figure something out if we had to here, but I'm much more inclined to participate in a statewide system with consistent standards and practices. It's governed by county recorders. I'm on the governing board of Iowa Land Records, ESS coordinating committee. So the smaller counties have a voice. I've been involved with that project since, you know, not early in its inception, but when I started getting involved with the association in 2010, it was shortly after that I, you know, started paying attention to those meetings and getting engaged, and then became involved. I've been served on that committee on the governing board for, I want to say 8 years, and then now I just got reelected back onto it here this past year. So it's good for us to have that statewide system. But there is this bill that would eliminate the requirement to participate in the 2080, and so we're actively trying to see if that will go nowhere, hopefully.
So what do they think they're gaining by pulling out of the organization?
It's a good question. The motives are kind of unclear. You know, if I had to speculate, they have a software vendor who's based out of Scott County that I think, well, that software vendor is also pulled out of the maintenance agreements with the ESS organization, which, you know, they're still going to provide that connection to the system, but they've started to kind of stop communicating with our project manager. It's merely speculation. I would think that they kind of have a desire to try and privatize some of the stuff that's being done by this intergovernmental 2080, because they're obviously a company that's out to make money.
There you go.
I mean, it doesn't take, you know, a genius to put 2 and 2 together, but I don't want to, you know, say things because they haven't come out and said that. That's just what I would speculate. They have a desire to kind of, there are some counties around us that have this software vendor, or at least one, and they have a tendency to put the public records behind what I would call a paywall. You know, we're obviously required to provide access to the land records under Chapter 22. They're open records, so we can only charge a certain amount for access, you know, copies, things like that. From what I've heard, they're utilizing this third party model, so to speak, where people are accessing the records from this third party, so they're possibly not bound under Chapter 22. It seems, I I don't know the ins and outs, but it seems unbest. And so they're able to charge more for copies and access, and there may be some kickback down to the county, which. I don't know, I mean, and this is just me speculating, I don't know all the ins and outs of what's happening, but that's kind of where I feel like the. You know.
That
they're
push is
getting
coming
their
from.
Ambitions from, so, but. So yeah, as far as legislation goes, we were actively pushing, you know, a bill that we spent a lot of time. With the stakeholders vetting and, you know, trying to make sure we were doing things that were going to be beneficial and improve our system. And, we just kind of had to pivot in the last few weeks, so, now we're just trying to make sure we maintain the integrity of our system. So,
All right. Any other questions for Travis?
Good luck with those efforts.
Yeah,
yeah, thank you.
thanks, Travis. Brenda.
The city of Holland has gone through the district court to get an abandoned property, and they were awarded that, and so then the code says that the city can request that those taxes that are outstanding be abated, so that's what we're doing today, just getting those abated.
Okay,
Signature on that, because it does say you shall, you really don't have a choice, it's just a conundrum.
all right. Would anyone care to introduce resolution number 42, 2024-2025?
I'd be happy to do that.
All right, is there a second?
Second,
Alan, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Vic,
Yes.
Jeff,
yes.
LJ,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes,
Heidi.
Yes. Pass that around for signatures. Anything else new in the treasurer's office?
No, last day taxes,
It
and
was
it's been busy. so-
Yeah, busy day today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
No, be gone.
let's keep training Lori. huh?
There's always one in the crowd.
My best, my best. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda.
We appreciate that.
Speaking of that. Tom will probably need your input here right away. The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action on landfill salary. And we had the recommendation from the landfill board. And you put that amount in the budget, correct? 6%.
You said there's a little slight error in there.
Yeah, originally we budgeted too much,
Okay.
and so the 6% ended up being in there already, so there wasn't a change to what you guys had seen. So it's there if you want to
Okay.
use it.
Okay. So I guess that can be our discussion. Is that what we have determined that amount to be? No, you went, yeah,
People. And they all agreed on it the night we were there, so
on 6.
it's on 6, yes.
because the original request was more than that.
Yes. Wow.
So.
And it was voted on and approved that evening, so.
I guess would anyone care to make a motion on that 6%?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
all right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And then the next item is a discussion and possible action on Board of Health total appropriations for fiscal year 2026.
I think the only two things they got are the public health budget and the sanitarian. And we have the correct figures in now for salaries. So what you would make a motion is you're only gonna appropriate $221,907 to the local board of health.
Okay.
For fiscal year 26.
Is there a
That's
mo,
what the two budgets add up now with the salary
With that.
corrections.
okay. Would anyone care to make that motion?
make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Alright.
Anything
And I don't know if you
else
need to send that by a letterhead from your.
from here? Okay, just to
I
let
mean,
them know
all
what
of your
the
guys'
total amount, could you, repeat the total amount again, Don, sorry, for the budget?
221,907.
All right, we will send them notification and thank you. Any other questions for Don while he's sitting there?
The notice should be in the paper this Thursday and Friday.
Yes. And the budget
For the
hearing.
budget hearing?
Budget hearing. For the April 21st. So,
That has to be in 2 weeks. Does that have to be in 2 weeks, just
Uh,
1 week, one time?
one time, just, it cannot be, from what we say the hearing date is, it can't be published. The hearing can't be held any less than 10 days nor more than 20 days. So there's a 10-day time period in there. And with the weekly papers, April 3rd and 4th fits us perfectly with the 21st.
Perfect.
All right, thanks, Don.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a question, Erica. On our agenda, we have the discussion on the rifles first, then the disposal property, since they're going to be, I feel, intertwined. Do we keep in that order? Do we switch around? I will defer to your judgment.
Could you repeat that? I am mostly deaf.
Yep. On our agenda, we have discussion and possible action on the sale of rifles first, and then we have the discussion on the policy of disposal of property. Do we
Gotcha.
want to stick in that order? Should we, I mean, they're
Whatever is your
intertwined.
Take them in order.
In order, okay. Then we'll go in order. Kirk. Anything on that? To add to that? Okay.
That's what I said last week, I think they made it pretty clear.
Okay.
Now you guys have questions.
All right, we have,
Could I have a question?
sure.
Is it possible, wouldn't it be better to give everybody an opportunity to buy them? I mean, it's Grundy County's property.
Well, that's what we've got on the next item for our agenda,
That's
as
what
far
we've
as,
been-
yep. As the policy that we have and how that fits and how it aligns with the rest of the state, I guess. So,
Well, I think the
and
current policy states as the Board of Supervisors determines to be in the best interest of the county. I personally think it's in the best interest of the county that these rifles be offered to the deputies if they would like to purchase a rifle. And the income from those sales goes towards the purchase of the new rifles.
Mhm.
That's where I
Has the
stand.
new one been purchased yet? I mean, I see in the paper there that they used them already. They
Yes.
fired them,
Yes.
so
We
they have
used them,
been,
we bought them.
so they already bought them.
Mhm. And they were in his, it was a budgeted item.
Yeah,
He-
there is, but
Yeah, we were aware of that, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanna get that straight.
Mhm.
And I found out they're, what are they now?
They're AR-15s.
I mean, that's pretty good, yeah. They're not cheap,
Nope,
and I don't know what they're gonna sell them to, where you guys gonna determine that, how much they are. Or does somebody determine how much the price are?
yep, I think that's been determined as to what the resale,
And if there's any,
Discussed last week.
if there's any rifles left over, will they open to the public then?
then that would be determined by the board as to what we,
There would be one left over and that would be a spare.
so,
I mean, I can't find out now until I ask questions.
you're right.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're here for.
You guys all miss me too.
We do. We're glad you're here today, Rich.
No, Mark did.
Rich, wanna pick on me?
You're my favorite now, Barb's gone.
Oh, Barb always was number one. That's true.
Is there any
You know,
other,
maybe nice.
discussion?
What do you need, Heidi?
Any other discussion? Otherwise, I would take a motion on that action.
That we, what?
On the, on the
Sell back to allow.
I just have
Nope.
one other question, because Mark read off that paragraph there. Do you agree with that, Erica? That ultimately the supervisors have to say on the way things or used items are sold throughout the county?
Well, I would say that everything is county property. The Board of Supervisors, is in charge of that county property. I just saw the, policy and I have an unsigned version. I got that from Alan last week. I looked to the AG's office, the Sheriff's Association, though they didn't have anything on. I looked to the Iowa Association of Counties in their manuals. There's really not a lot about the sale of weapons, except that the Department of Public Safety is allowed to sell forfeited rifles and shotguns through an annual auction for Department of Natural Resources, I think. That's really the only thing I could find about it. So I asked the AG if, just for a direction as to any other code sections I should be looking at, or Iowa Administrative Code. And apparently, this is something that has been bubbling up, and they've got an assistant AG actually compiling and looking at that. So other counties have been asking the same thing. So at this point, I have nothing definitive other than our policy. And ultimately, it is the Board of Supervisors, I believe, who can say whether there's going to be a deviation from the policy as to specific items. So if the board determines that it is in the best interest of the public to handle an AR-15 rifle sale in this manner, then I believe that, at least at this point with the information I have, that the board does have that right.
Okay, thank you.
I agree, I just wanted to make sure that.
Just wanted to pin me down.
Yeah.
No,
Right away on a Monday morning. Any other discussion or, and did you make a motion? Or not?
Didn't, I'm confused on what the motion should be.
No?
I got one other question.
Okay,
So when you sell them to the deputies, do they have to fill out the forms and everything?
We hire somebody to come in and do the transfer of the firearm from the sheriff's office to that particular person. And that's done at their own cost.
Okay.
so then a third party handles all of that.
What's that?
A third party handles all of that.
Yes.
How about I move the sale of the used rifles be offered to the deputies who wish to purchase them?
Okay.
The money that's received from the sale goes towards the purchase of the new rifles.
Okay.
How's that?
That would cover it. Okay.
Put a price on it.
No.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Kurt. The next item is the discussion of our policy, just in case we need any other. Speaking,
I just want to say something about the policy.
Okay.
13 years that I was at the secondary roads. Everything that come up for sale, right down to a light fixture, was valued at $10, was put up for bids. That's all I can say. And the conservation too, they brought their stuff in too. That's the only thing I know about.
For sure, for public bids or bids?
Public bids. Lots of things didn't sell too if they weren't no value, you know, they just laid there. They're probably still laying there.
That,
Them old light fixtures from all the shop.
I would say that would be an interesting method to continue with. But the advertisement of just putting it in the paper is gonna cost more than $10.
Well, you didn't know if you were gonna bring $50 or
Right,
$5.
So
But-
who would determine the value of it? I mean, because it says in there, anything that's deemed invaluable is supposed to go to the landfill. So I mean, someone has to put a value on it.
Well, it says you have to make it available for the supervisors to inspect,
Yeah,
and then it has to be advertised in the Grundy paper.
cause I have scrap steel that we just take to the scrap yard and they get more than $10 for.
Yeah.
So the
And I
scrap,
guess I-
and so am I supposed to take that to the landfill or am I supposed to take that to the scrap yard?
You're supposed to let someone bid on it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Scrapyard.
I mean, that policy's kind of vague on everything I mean, it'd be no
Well-
different than all the stuff we got out of the courtroom.
It
We
says,
set it out
yeah,
on the lawn and people came and took it.
We have the same thing to use computers.
Yeah,
Jesse said,
that guy comes and
Numerous.
gets.
you know, it says to let the supervisors know of everything.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want an email every time.
No, I don't think you.
No,
would
he
either.
don't, he comes and himself.
So Erica,
Well,
We can't sell them with the hard drives in.
Right.
So the hard drives, we do pay a company that's in Des Moines. When ISAC meetings are going down, Jesse will bring the hard drives to this company and they certify them. They have a big enough machine that it actually shreds them. So the rest of the computers, the laptops, go to this guy who doesn't charge us anything yet. He's getting older, but we have to kind of help load it. But he takes it and scraps it out. I mean, he's tearing them apart, whatever is
salvageable.
salvageable. I mean, what he could separate as aluminum or circuit boards, but without a hard drive in it, it's worthless.
Yeah.
So at least we're not dumping it in the landfill, filling up space. We've got somebody who actually will go through it and try to take something from it. And I don't know how much he even can get. I mean, but we've been doing that for lots of years. It's because right now you can't even get the software on it because you need the hard drive and you need, well, we get mainly Dells. Somehow you have to get the operating system back on it. And that's not as easy. Microsoft has too many hoops to jump. Cause you don't get a card or anything with them anymore. It's on the hard drive. And if the hard drive fails, well, it's under a warranty. Dell will send us back a hard drive with the operating system already on it.
Also,
So-
Grundy Center does have a recyclable person. That's my son. He's got a license for recyclable.
Okay. Is our policy in line with any others that you've, in your investigation? Do you think it's in line with what most counties have?
I think it varies a bit. This does seem a bit outdated.
Okay.
People really don't advertise in newspapers anymore. There are some counties or cities that just have annual auctions and it's just a garage sale kind of thing.
You put it on the website or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
You just put it on the website, you consider that good enough, post it. And be done with it. But as far as how things are different with secondary roads. I mean, obviously, larger things such as what the sheriff has done when selling a vehicle. Things with some obvious value. That I believe is still going through auction, but when the local Board of Health has 5 totes of folders, paper clips and pens, that's just a, hey, anybody from the courthouse that needs some office supplies, come check it out kind of thing. That is, I think, how,
Not for their personal use, though.
no,
Right.
not for personal use. Thank you for clarifying that. That is how it's been done here generally, when one office is getting rid of filing cabinets. The email goes out to the other departments. Anybody need filing cabinets? And it's a way to transfer property owned by the county to a place that'll give it its highest best use when it's no longer needed by whatever other department. That seems to me to be a very efficient and economical way of doing things. But when it comes to the larger items, obviously our policy is meant to, as most policies like this are, is meant to, one, of course, get the best price we can for anything, but also to create some transparency and to encourage public confidence that backdoor deals aren't being made. So I don't think anybody really cares about folders and paper clips. A vehicle, yes. So with that kind of parameter in mind.
On the policy here, the old one says the Board of Supervisors shall approve the disposition of any item valued at $1,000 or greater. Let's go back to the rifles. They were, as a group, they were valued at more than 1,000. But on an individual basis, they were not. So where would we fall? Do we say, hey, all these are valued at more, or this one item?
It's per item. The value is, so if you bought 10 guns, it's still 10 divided by whatever, or the amount divided by 10.
Okay.
And that's how I put them into the system, because I keep track of assets. So they go into the system as each individual, attached with their serial number, tag number, or whatever. And when we're disposing of items, there's 3 ways we dispose on them: sold, traded in, and junk. So that's really the ways that we get rid of things, or those only 3 ways. So
For purposes of audit and
correct,
accounting. tracking.
yeah.
So would it be your recommendation to perhaps go through this part of the plan, maybe tweak it just a little bit, some wording changes as to how things are advertised, or is this sufficient?
Well, I would say that we should probably update it.
Okay.
And maybe have some conversations with department heads as to what kind of things. Get some input from people to find out what is workable while also maintaining transparency and that kind of thing.
I think the biggest thing is to get rid of the advertisement in the Grundy Register and allowing us to post it on our social media, either the county or each department's social media,
Well,
Facebook.
we have department head meeting coming up Thursday, so we can bring that up as a discussion and get some talking points started at that then.
I talked to Jesse beforehand, but it'll be in New Orleans.
You mean he doesn't want it on Thursday?
Probably not.
So can you get a registered person come in and give a appraisal of how much those rifles are worth?
So they did, and
We
they,
did when we went to trade them in, they
What did they say?
$200 to $300, they were gonna give us one.
Holy smokes, that's nothing.
Okay, then we
How
will,
much do you plan on getting for them, or do you determine that?
We were reselling them to the deputies for $500.
we'll talk more at the department head meeting
Okay.
and then get back to you maybe for some, if we need more than that.
And I will find some, I'll forward some proposals to the department heads for consideration or discussion.
And
Thank you.
I'm not saying that we have to advertise every $5 light fixture either, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying as a group that they were laying there and if somebody wanted them for their machine shed. Gary figured they could bid on them, you know,
Mhm.
they were outdated. Should have went to the junk probably, but they didn't. I think they were sold, some of them were given away, junked. And I often question that too, Jeff.
They went to the land.
Hauling that steel down there, it usually took more fuel and personnel and everything. To haul it down there than it was worth, but we did get rid of it.
They get rid of it.
You know, all the grader blades and that, there's a lot of weight there somewhere.
Okay, no, then we will discuss further at the department head meeting. Do you have anything else for us this morning, Erica?
Don't believe so.
Updates? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is to accept the resignation of Blackhawk Township trustee Wallace Denslin.
I'll make that motion.
We have that motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the next item is the appointment of Dan Cock as Blackhawk Township trustee.
Make that motion.
And is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Anything else? Butch, you got anything for us today?
Yeah, after. After the winter, there's been a couple sidewalks that have heaved, and the one over at the annex is really bad. Right by the flagpole where the gutter comes out. It's probably an inch or better where it's heaved up. So I got a hold of that company again, had them come look at this one, and then there's a section behind the sheriff's office that is falling back and is raised up by the door to where sometimes the door doesn't open on the back. So it's that same company who came in, that Level Pro came and raised them over here, the ramp and all that. So I didn't come last week, it might have been a little bit longer ago than that. And it's roughly about $750 to have it raise that over there. There's two spots over there and then the spot in the back here. So I was gonna have him do that just to keep that sidewalk level,
Safe.
'cause I mean, and
Tripping hazard?
yeah, it's bad.
So if I
This year
walk
it's
over there, I
really
better be careful.
The cities used to be like a half inch or something, or an inch on their sidewalk, you had to, years ago. I don't think.
bad. Well, they still have the policy.
Yeah.
Which,
But it isn't enforced as a part of all.
yeah.
It used to go around
Well,
paint. on the sidewalk.
It's a catch 22 because like with us, with the city, like we have that policy. So we're liable for every single one of them sidewalks. If we don't do anything about it, the city's still liable. And I found that out through our
Oh, okay.
ISAC guy or whatever, the ICAP guy that came that day. And we talked about it then, and that's what he said. And more than likely, I'm probably gonna go around and look at these sidewalks, and I might have you guys stop out and look, and you've dealt with them before, that some of these other sidewalks around the courthouse that might need to be replaced or, you know, taken out those sections like we have. Cause there's a bunch of them where that piece is missing now, and
Have some repairs.
yeah,
Mhm.
before summer and.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd really like to get that one taken care of, cause those two sections are the worst ones. And then the driveway over at the sheriff's office where they have the dumpster. Since we moved the dumpster out towards the road to make it easier for right to dump it rather than backing all the way in. That whole section right there, it's all mud now from them moving the dumpster around, and half the time they can't even get it pushed back up onto there, so it's halfway sticking out into the road. So I'm thinking about is pouring a pad there for that dumpster to sit on. But
Which we maybe have Jeff look at that, cause that approach coming into our back is really bad anyways, so I don't know. Maybe you guys could do a driveway there. Like when we go out, our cars bottom out, if you're going any speed at all, they bottom out going through there, so it's a pretty big drop off, so if you're gonna pour a slab there, then it might be good to have the driveway just looked at.
yeah, we're gonna do that too.
We'll have that.
We're gonna get it. price or whatever it's gonna be for that too, and we can come back later or whatever you guys can do that.
Look at it.
But like I said, I really wanna get that, and I think a lot of what it's from is from the way the gutter comes down, it comes down and angles over towards that flagpole. Well, as it all melts, it goes down into there, and then I think it's heaving that sidewalk during the winter. So what I'm gonna do this summer, spring, is dig that out and just put a pop-up in the yard. Like have it go down into there and just have a pipe come up and get it away from those sidewalks.
So it doesn't run on there.
Yeah, cause even when it's melting early in the morning, I mean, I can go out there and throw salt on it at 6 o'clock or whatever, at 7 o'clock, it's refroze already in that section, just because it's coming off the roof and melting a little bit, and then it gets cold right at that time, and it'll refreeze instantly at that spot, so.
Okay, let me ask you this, Butch. Is that the city sidewalk?
That's all right. Yeah, it's not the one in front, it's the one leading down to that ramp that goes down right next to the.
So are the homeowners then in the city responsible for their own sidewalks then? I always thought.
Yeah, the ones in front too. I mean, it's no different than the ones all the way around here. I mean,
Right,
we're
that's what I
responsible
was-
for all those and that's another thing I had him look, he actually said something to me because the day he was here, it had rained or melted, and if you notice going off, and I've talked to Alan about this too, where you step off from the sidewalk to the curb, they have that little section poured in between the actual sidewalk and the curb. It's sunk all the way around, like from here all the way around to that side, that little section has sunk. Well, when it melts and freezes, that thing sits full of water, right where people step up from the parking onto the sidewalk. So he was gonna figure out the separate quote for raising that back up
That piece.
and keeping it level or having it slope back, because it was all supposed to slope back towards the grass. Well,
We actually had to come back and put that in at one time.
so did the county put that in?
Yes.
Okay, was that grass before or what was it?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know what that was, and I assume that's what they did.
Secondary roads come and did it.
Okay,
Yeah, it was one of those after they redid the street road, the brick road, and then the city put in a new curb. And there was like, what, a foot?
yeah.
And then
that's
there
what it is,
was
the sidewalk.
the sidewalk, and at that time, Mark talked to the board, and it was like, it was more of a hassle. Just trying to move snow, it's like you're just
Scraping it.
scraping off the side.
Well, and like now it's sunk so bad that you can't even push, like when you go to push the snow off, it all catches there and it makes just a smooth piece of, to me, ice after you push the snow off there, because I mean, you can't get your blade tipped enough and, I mean,
Without damaging something.
yeah. So like I said, he's gonna give me a separate quote on that part of it, just this, I mean, cause it would be a lot to go through there and raise that, I mean. A lot of footage to raise it up, I mean, but. There'd be a lot more to tear it up and
And
report it,
redo it.
you know.
Okay.
So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I was gonna have those guys here to raise those sidewalks, and that I was gonna take that downspout out and get it away from there.
Might watch that hole too down there by the old popcorn stand. I did put.
Is it on the corner or where? Because the rest of them are filled in.
I filled that one in. Here a while back, I was doing some at home, so I thought I'd just bring a couple buckets up there.
Cause I noticed the one is all humped
Still-
up too, like, I figured that one would settle.
It's the one, this sidewalk going down here. Right in the corner where this sidewalk meets. It was down about that far. And the water runs down this sidewalk. It's undermining under there, so I had to scrape a bunch of dirt up and stomp it in there to try.
Well,
so it's still settling.
they back that too.
So that's what I mean, you're gonna have to watch it, cause it's still settling down.
Okay.
And I took my rake and raked it off. Well, on everything when I left, but I noticed this morning,
It's sunk again.
yeah,
Cause like the other day when I went by there after we talked about it, I mean, it was filled in, like it was flush.
no, it was that deep, I put 2 5-gallon buckets of dirt in it, and then plus scoop 2 5 gallons of dirt up
And it's the one right at the corner, or is it on the other side of this?
on our property. Right in this corner.
You'll see it when you go walk down there. You can see it now. There's sunk again.
Wonder if there's a pipe under there that's sucking it in then.
Right there. That one right there, the northeast corner. And right in this area here is where they back that out.
Yeah, so that's where it's, the hole is?
Yeah, was, it's actually starting to go back down again, I noticed this morning. So, I don't know how far they back that down and if it's gonna keep.
Well, that's what I'm wondering is if there's something isn't, if it's not going somewhere, like in the.
It didn't
pipe or
take a
something.
whole lot, I mean, I've stomped on it. With a shovel, tamping it in, but
Yeah, but it's gotta be going somewhere. I mean. It can't just be settling that much.
eventually it'll get full.
You know,
Keep all dirt in.
Okay.
Probably.
anything else for Butch this morning? Otherwise, did anybody have any meetings this week?
Central Iowa juvenile detention over in Eldora.
How was that?
Well, it's always interesting, and it continues to be such, but, we are, before the meeting started, I checked with the chairman to, be sure that we were still members or eligible, or he said, well, the way it reads right now, we're continuing as if everybody's a member. So he says, you can vote on items, which I did. And let's see, May 21st will be the end of the second stay between Central Iowa and Hardin County, so hopefully they'll get something worked out by the middle of May. From an operational standpoint, they're still in pretty good shape. Transportation was talked about quite a bit. They have a transportation division, and they transport anywhere from 700 to 800 kids a month, and they profit wise, they make about 9% on that. So it is a profit division. Fairly, right now, they're fully staffed. For full-time people, they can always use part-time people. Full-time, they're fully staffed. There was a lawsuit against an employee. I believe this goes back to 2022, I believe. But it was a child abuse charge, and it was found to be unfounded, and the suit was dropped. The board at that time defended the employee, and legally it was, if I remember right, about a $50,000 legal bill to do that. But yeah, the employee is no longer with Central Iowa. He's went to the DOT on that. But again, the lawsuit was dropped, and the charges were unfounded.
Something about that once. Somewhere.
Yeah, well, a medical expense for Central Iowa is a long ways over past history and the budget, and they don't see that changing because they don't want to take any chance of having a kid come back and say, well, you didn't supply adequate care. They're afraid of that. So something that you would keep your kids home they take them to the doctor just to be sure. There's nothing wrong. They do have a registered nurse on staff that recommends things, and they err on the side of caution. Again, I think I brought this up the last report, that when a kid comes into juvenile detention, their Medicare payments are gone. So it is up to Central Iowa to take care of those payments.
The same thing happens when they're in jail too, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and,
What's the reasoning behind that? Is there a reasoning or is it a good way out of it?
I think they're not gonna pay for somebody who has done something wrong, so.
Well, which makes sense.
Somebody's gotta pay. It's passed on to the county taxpayer.
Right.
and at this point, Central Iowa, they get straight from the hospitals. Hospitals charging the full amount. And, that just got me thinking a little bit that the Grundy County Memorial took off with the sheriff department. They took off about $7,000.
Yeah, so they are charging us, Medicare rates, which I don't tell everybody,
But, yeah.
because I don't think they have to do it, so.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, you know, we've got grants and different things to the hospital. Well, maybe that comes back to us in ways that that I didn't anticipate. If they're working with the sheriff's department, you know, there's.
I do think they do work with us.
There's some good things happening there with the Grundy County Hospital, but Central Iowa, they mostly go to Des Moines hospitals, and they pay the full rate. So at this point, we'll wait and see what happens with our membership.
Just some numbers. Anyone else have any meetings this week? Eric and I attended the Environmental Health, Public Health Town Hall this week. They said, I think next year will be a ride, just like mental health, behavioral health has just had the fun of this year. Is what we gathered from that. So more changes to come. On Wednesday, I went to the county social services meeting. As you know, they will be ending as a region June 30th. With the new ASO successfully taking over on July 1st. They're working on a transition plan. It was kind of a warning given that to look within the counties and even the cities, they may need to be helping to navigate the new system. Because right now we have people in every county, and there are people when they walk in, they will help them. That will not be happening after July 1st. They will be closing the offices that they have in Norris Springs, in Chickasaw County, Clayton County, Tama County, and Howard County, probably the end of May. Just, they don't want to have to deal with everything in that last week of June. Those are the smaller offices. I believe that their contracts come up with those rental contracts. And that's why they're doing that then. The county, after June 30th, as you know, audits are not completed within a day or a week. So I believe each county will be appropriated money to help cover the cost of that final audit. More to come on that. They will have 5 staff that will continue on after June 30th for a short period of time, just to pay for get the bills taken care of in the last payroll, things like that can't be done. So, lots of changes going on. I will say that this region, there are still 20 employees that are staying on. Some regions have had their staff quit. I mean, they've gone to find other jobs and they've taken them pretty much immediately. So we have really good staff that's staying on to help. I went to the Blackhawk Grundy mental health meeting, and another board member and I walked in and we were informed that it had been canceled. He had emailed us. I just hadn't checked due to a lack of quorum. But I was able to talk with Tom, the director there, about just the continuing concerns with mental health going forward. And there will be some concerns. They're very concerned there as to how clients are going to get services, find out about services, be helped through the system. Thursday, I went to the Iowa Northland Regional Housing Council, which was at Intercog, which you all learned about last week. We had a nice group of people there, went through the revolving loan funds for housing issues. They're all going forward quite well. Money's being spent. There's a few areas where they're still looking for some projects. We had new officer elections. We have some new officers, so that will be good. And other than that, everything seems to be going forward well. Grundy County did add a new board member, Denise Runtz from People's Savings Bank Realty, is going to be joining the board just to get some more input on the housing market, what's out there, where there could be some improvements made. So that's what I had this week. Is there anything else to come before the board this morning?
So as of now, Todd and Daphne are both still on staff across the
They are on
street, right?
staff, on staff, yep, across the street. They will be on staff until June 30th.
So Heidi, I don't know if you can get some answers. We've tried reaching out, the social services does a lot for the jail. Almost every single inmate comes in to jail, needs social services as far as mental health meds.
Mhm.
If they aren't on mental health meds on the outside, when they get to jail, they want it. And social services has always paid our bills for medications when it comes to mental health. We've been looking for answers on, we're going to have to put that bill now because it's a big one. So that's something that we are unknown right now. Like I said, if it comes to it that the county ends up having to pay for mental health meds, it's gonna be a huge number.
I will see. Answers are hard to come by right now. I do know that the county will be footing the bill initially, where they have not in the past, for everything. It will be a reimbursement system where you have not had that before on everything. So there will need to be budget for at least a month's time of reimbursement, and I would guess that that's being very optimistic. I would imagine it's going to probably take longer. I did raise that concern when we met with the ASO as to the words may reimburse at a reasonable rate for certain things, and the words may and reasonable is concerning. I don't know who's going to be determining the definitions of those. But I will make them help you out with the answers. I'll try to see, but like I said, at that meeting even, it was very hard with them in the room directly to get some clear guidelines going forward. I don't know if it's because they don't know yet. They are still learning the ropes. I don't know. Changes to come, but yeah, I know that the county will need to be footing that bill for a month or two to begin with. And we'll see what goes forward there. But yeah, that would be a big change. And I do know that they're gonna be operating on budgets of much less. So,
It's something
Yeah.
that we haven't really planned for, so. If there's a huge difference. And, you know, we budget for medications and stuff like that, but never
Yeah.
mental health medication.
mhm.
It's always been taken care of by social services.
Ballpark
Yeah.
figure.
So hard to tell, it just depends on the population, so.
I mean, I could probably find out if it's for you. I can talk to Chris.
Mental health meds in jail is a very contagious thing, so if your person sleeping next to you has all these mental health meds that, you know, are helping them get it through the day, helping them sleep all night, they're like, okay, well, I want that too, so. Maybe not really need them, most of them don't continue on once they're out of jail with mental health meds.
Mhm.
Which doesn't mean they don't need them.
Right,
Yeah.
that's correct, they're just not gonna pay for them.
It's just they're not going to, yes.
Or they use drugs to supplement their mental health.
Self-medication, yes.
Hmm.
Self-prescribed.
And unfortunately, going forward, any help that they would receive after leaving jail is probably going to be much less and much harder to find, even though this revamping of the system is supposed to make it much easier to navigate. I have great fears for rural Iowa that that's gonna happen.
I would anticipate that there will be a budget amendment for the sheriff.
So this would directly affect your budget,
Yeah.
not non-departmental, or it'd be
No,
your
it
budget,
would.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. It would be coming
Because
in.
Iowa law mandates the sheriff to provide for all health needs while somebody's in jail. And while somebody's in jail, if they're there for more than 7 days, their Medicaid is no longer, so then it falls fully on the shoulders of the sheriff, which means the county.
They've even gone as far as, so if somebody actually has health insurance that is in jail, the hospitals will not bill their health insurance companies anymore. That was done last year in the legislature. Why it was done, we don't know. But so now we are on the hook for every medical bill, regardless if they have health insurance or not. So
And you do have to, yeah.
the only thing we do get is if somebody's on social security, once they're incarcerated, we will get their social security benefits, but that happens very rare. And then you will see that reimbursement 6 months down the road.
And is going for, I mean, just the fact that it will be a reimbursement now rather than an immediate, that they take care of the cost is going to make a big difference in your budget.
Timeline there also.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it may be a reimbursement.
Right,
Okay,
yes,
that's
sorry.
even worse.
Let me
And that
clarify.
creates an issue because then you have money coming in that has to be, you know, you have to do a budget amendment to
Right.
get that income back into your budget, so it's almost like you're gonna have to budget for the entire amount and maybe now you have to worry about the reimbursement.
Yeah.
You budget for,
Yeah, it's
totally, you don't know how many minutes you're gonna have to get. I mean, all the drugs are gonna be on.
Or what drugs they're not on, that they should be on, that they're gonna wanna be on once they have
Somebody to pay
an
for it.
actual schedule and, yes. Somebody to manage their life for them, yes.
So, like I said, more
Thanks
to
for making
come.
that clarification, and I appreciate that. No, it's good information.
No, and it is a concern. It's one of the things I don't think was probably fully thought out as this plan was going forward
I don't think there's a whole lot of stuff being thought out.
at a rapid pace.
Something brought up at ISAC about that too.
You have health insurance,
Yeah.
it's just not March or February.
It's been brought up
Yes.
pretty much since this has started, the talk has started, it's been brought up. So, is there anything else to come before the board this meeting? Otherwise, this board this morning at this meeting, I would take a motion for adjournment. Anybody?
I will make said motion.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, everyone.